Breaking news. University of Miami has a new president, and this is going to be really, really good for athletics.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to talk in just a moment with the Postcast King about the Louisville matchup, our predictions for high noon tomorrow, Miami Hurricanes at Louisville Cardinals. And yeah, we're going to talk about the new university president as we bring on the man himself, Jim Greasehopper. You can call him Grease. We got the news here late Friday morning that Joe Echevarria, who's been serving as acting university president in the months since Julio Frank stepped away, they've taken the interim tag off, and Echevarria is going to be the permanent University of Miami president. I think it's a home run hire. Echevarria, former CEO of UHealth, built up the university health system into a well-oiled machine. Echevarria, as people probably already know, is a University of Miami alumnus like Grease and I are. He's passionate about Miami athletics. He was instrumental in hiring Mario Cristobal and making the investments in athletics that we're seeing right now. Also, folks that I'm obviously more of, even though I went to the U, I'm more into athletics these days than I am the academic stuff. But people in those sectors are also really happy with Joe getting the permanent appointment. So this seems like a win on all fronts, Grease. And it's nice. We're going to have a university president who is not working against athletics. And I'm not saying Julio Frank was. He was hands off in some good ways. But Joe Echevarria is going to walk hand in hand with the athletics department.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you think about it, Alex, and it's good to talk to you again because we get to play again this week, man. It was a long bye week, but thank God that the Canes were able to win that game against Cal because that would have been a lot longer of a 2-week period. But in terms of the way the world is right now and the way things are transitioning with athletics, there's so much attention brought to the programs and the schools through the programs, right? And Miami, when a team like Miami's winning, when a school like Miami's winning, it can be a tremendous asset. It is a tremendous asset to the university, not only financially, a lot of attention on national TV, a ton of it when you're Miami. And that's really just a sales pitch for people to go to school there and spend whatever the tuition is now that, obviously it's not cheap. So it pads the coffers. So it all goes hand in hand. My point here, are you getting this, Alex? You see where I'm going, and you guys know where I'm going, Locked On Canes. If you've been a fan a long time, look, I went to school when Tad Foote was the president, and Rick Riley wrote an open letter to cancel the football program and abolish it and get rid of it and give it the death penalty himself from within. Thankfully, he didn't. But what happened there, it set in motion a chain of events where all of a sudden we wanted to be taken more seriously as the outstanding academic institution we are, right? Enter Donna Shalala, right, from the Clinton administration and all these things that she had behind her, all the accolades, all the accreditations. Before you guys lose your minds, I'm not here to rip Donna Shalala. I probably got 1,000 comments in the YouTube chat. By the way, smash that subscribe.
They were ready.
The bell, all that. Yeah, they're ready in there. I don't even have to say anything, Alex. You guys will take care of it for me. But when the university is lockstep with the athletic program, when the university is hand in hand with the athletic program, it only benefits the university. It benefits the university tremendously. The alums are engaged. You don't have people doing stupid things anymore because the NCAA finally changed the archaic rules and made it so the players can actually get something for all the money that's being made off them. So now it's a different world. And now it's even more crucial for the actual school administration and the athletics department to walk hand in hand, to be friends, to be best friends, and elevate what, Alex? The entire thing. The entire thing.
Yeah, and I think now more than ever, if you're the president of a Power 4 conference university, or actually even if you're president of a group of 5, it's actually probably even more critical in the group of 5 when we're entering this landscape where revenue sharing is going to become a thing and universities are going to be on the hook to raise this extra potentially $20 million per year in revenue sharing. Like you need to have someone who's lockstep with the athletic department. Otherwise, you're going to fall short in some areas. So I think this is a great appointment, and Echevarria is proven. I remember when he was first named interim president, I was a little, and I've been rooting for Joe the entire time. And over time, I could see he was getting support from the trustees and the powers that be. And it's the trustees who voted him as the permanent guy. I was a little worried at first because, like, usually university presidents are people who come from academic backgrounds or even political backgrounds. And it's usually not people who come from business backgrounds like Joe. But I think this day and age, especially when you've got a private university, I think having someone who's got that business acumen, it's more important than ever. So I love this for Joe. I love this for our alma mater, the University of Miami. With all that said, as much as we love Joe Echevarria, he's not going to be suiting up this Saturday, Grease. We've got a game to win against the Louisville Cardinals, and I want to pick the brain of the postcast king when we come back. Miami Hurricanes, Louisville Cardinals, who has the edge? You guys want to keep it locked because we're going to get the breakdown from the postcast king when we come back right here on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And folks, your sex life is important. Your schedule is also busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through HIMS, you can get a personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside your door. HIMS is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. HIMS provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/locked on. That's HIMS.com/locked on for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/locked on. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Folks, we are also proudly brought to you by FanDuel. Yeah, we've been getting in the game all season long. Miami Hurricanes are 4.5-point favorites on the road at Louisville, over under 59.5. So if you think it's going to be a high-scoring game, smash that over. And NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And folks, make sure you're ready because right after the game, win or lose, right after the game, you're going to be able to watch and listen to our guy Grease reacting and breaking it down immediately on the Locked On Canes postcast, which is going to be available live on YouTube and available through the audio channel as well on the Locked On Canes podcast. So, all right, Grease, would you say, I know we've said this a couple times already this year, but is it fair to say Louisville might be the best team Miami has faced so far?
I don't know, because teams are different week in and week out, right, Alex? And obviously we see different teams different. And look at the Florida team, the way they played Tennessee. So Florida's getting better. And that win looks a little bit better now as they continue to play their season. Cal and Virginia Tech, those games back to back, and I'm going in reverse order, obviously. But man, those games, one on the road and one at home, those were tough games for Miami because the secondary didn't play well in those games. And I think Louisville's probably got the best offense that the University of Miami Hurricanes have played so far coming into this game. And you thought maybe Florida would have a better offense than they did at the time. They didn't do all that much. But if there is a unit within the University of Miami Hurricanes football team this year that gives me a little bit of pause, that scares me maybe more than a little bit, it's the secondary, right? We're no secrets here. We've talked about that quite a bit. They get a good pass rush. They haven't really made big plays on defense. They haven't scored on defense enough times. They haven't scored on special teams. I'm wearing the Devin Hester jersey again, because the last couple of games with the comebacks, I've been wearing this jersey for the show. Yes. But B, even more important than that, remember what Devin Hester did against Louisville to open the second half back in 2004? Remember the kick return that triggered it all, and then the touchdown pass to Roscoe Parrish, the interception by Antrell Roll, a redshirt freshman tight end by the name of Greg Olson caught a touchdown pass in that game, and now he's number 2 broadcaster on Fox, number 1 before Brady. So point being, that's a long time ago. But, Alex, I still am worried about the pass defense. Devin Hester played in the secondary, and I still want to see defensive and special teams touchdowns. The magic is not there yet with this team. And what I mean is offensively, it's there. It's all Cam Ward. Without Cam Ward, you don't even want to know what would be happening without Cam Ward. So those 2 games, the last couple of weeks, and obviously Cam Ward had a couple of plays in those games that helped put the team behind and in a hole. But the demeanor, the mindset, the mentality, the complete control that he has in that huddle, the leadership, the respect, and the way that people play for this kid is I've never seen it at the University of Miami. And I wasn't there when Jim Kelly was there. I'm not that old. But what I'm saying is he is the reason they won those last couple of games. He rallied the troops, galvanized everybody. They all make plays around him. We already know that. But to win this game against Louisville, and I don't think Louisville is very good, the biggest key for me is going to be which secondary plays better in this game. Miami's secondary has not played well in those games against Virginia Tech and Cal, but I want to say this about the defensive side of the football. They absolutely stepped up when they had to. They got the stops, they got the plays, they got the turn. So they have stepped up, but they have not become what I think they can become, which is one of those units that dominates on that side of the ball and scores points as well. So I want to see that this weekend. I think they need a defensive or a special teams touchdown. But I really think the key to this game for Miami is Quincy Riley's health for Louisville. That ankle that he hurt against Georgia Tech, he's a first-round pick playing in the secondary. And I think that if he's not 100%, Cam Ward's going to feast on them all day. If he is close to 100%, it'll be a little tougher and part of the field might be shut down. But I think that might be the biggest key for Louisville's defense against Miami's offense, because without him, good Lord, you pick them apart all day. And then on the other side of the ball, Louisville can't tackle. The run game's been really good for the University of Miami. We haven't really accentuated it as much on the show, and they haven't in the game plan because of Cam Ward and with the short passing game. But Louisville has a lot of trouble tackling, Alex, and they have the propensity to give up a big play because of it. So 2 things, big rushing yards, big plays. I don't think this game's going to be close, and I don't know why people are picking Louisville.
Well, it's one of those things. I get the sense that the feeling nationally, and hopefully Miami proves them wrong, is that Miami is due for a loss based on the way the last couple of games have gone. Like I've watched a lot of the national prediction shows. I mean, I probably shouldn't waste my time watching the Cover 3 podcast because anything Danny Cannell is involved in is not going to be objective about Miami. Right, but I watched that. I watched an ESPN College Game Day preview show where Reese Davis was actually the one picking Miami. The other 2 guys were picking against Miami. But there's this sense out there that the issues that Miami's had the last couple of games are going to be exposed by Louisville, where they kind of ignore, like you brought up, Louisville has had some of their own issues. There's been a lot of self-destruction on their side. They can't convert third downs. They can't score touchdowns in the red zone. So, I think whoever makes fewer mistakes may end up being the team who wins this game. So what's your predicted score, Grease? How do you think it's going to play out?
It's interesting when you think about it because which Louisville team is going to show up? And Miami, we know, look, these last couple of games have been rough. And Cam Ward has made mistakes we haven't seen Cam Ward make too many of. There have been things that were out of his control or maybe his fault that happened. And bad luck plays, right? I mean, how bad could that Restrepo play have turned out when he fell down, when he caught the ball, if he had just knocked it up in the air, deflected, pick 6? I mean, sometimes luck is involved, right? And that happens. So for this game here, I'm looking at the Notre Dame game for Louisville because the Virginia game was a nice win, but I mean, they're not a very good team. The Georgia Tech game was impressive too for Louisville because we thought Georgia Tech was going to be better after the win over FSU to start the season. But the Notre Dame game is really the one that I gauge and I look at here. And they played pretty well in that game at times, but Notre Dame came out real fast and hard and scored 21 points in the first quarter on them. And I think that's a huge key for Miami this week. I know they're watching that. They're paying attention to that in the film room. They're seeing things. for Miami's offense to get off to a good start this week, Alex, and not put themselves in the position they've been in those last couple of games where it's a big comeback late down the stretch. So I think Miami will get off to a fast start this game, and then it'll be cruise control. I don't want to see I say they'll hang 50 on Louisville, maybe not even 40, but I'm going to go 38-13 Miami. I think the defense steps up big this week. There's a bunch of turnovers. Isaac Brown is the featured back for Louisville. He's a freshman.
Good.
He's the first one with 3 100-yard-plus games since Lamar Jackson, who you might have heard of, 2-time MVP, right? And he's got a running back now in Derrick Henry. But when I think about the 20 carries, 146, 2 touchdowns against Virginia, that's not going to happen against Miami's defensive front. As long as they maintain the discipline, 2 things the last couple of games have concerned me, Alex. The slow starts on offense and with Cam Ward. Eventually, you're not going to be able to overcome that. And 2, it's been the careless penalties on both sides of the ball, the mental mistakes. And I think in this couple of weeks since they've played, they'll have really gone to work on that and fix those things, because I know Nick Saban said the worst thing you can do is win a close game that you should have lost. But, hey, those dubs matter big time, and this game is going to be really important as to who the conference champ is. I think Miami's defense really steps up big today. They're the stars of the show, 38-13.
I love that. And
I actually – sorry, Alex.
Yeah, and I have the same point total for Miami. I went on record earlier this week, 38-27 is the score. But I like yours better, though. I would take 38-13, probably means I'm going to have a less stressful fourth quarter than we've had for the last couple of games. So I like that. Heck of a breakdown. And, guys, make sure, again, you're checking out Grease right after the game is over, right when the game ends. And I'll try to hop in with him for a little bit, as I usually do, to talk about it. But right when the game ends, Locked On Canes postcast, he's going to be breaking it down. And it is all about the U. Let's get that dub. Let's get to 7-0.
7-0, baby.
And we'll talk after the game, Grease. Awesome job as always. Thanks so much to everyone for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.